Today we're going to run some zip wire, so I'm going to show you exactly how to cut it so it fits perfectly for whatever you need. We're going to be running from this little power outlet to this tree. We're going to put some LED lights around there, so we just need one plug going to the bottom. If I was using incandescent bulbs, I'd probably run a little bit higher so that I could plug in multiple plugs up here, but we're not doing that. We like LEDs, so I like to start with the female end first. So we've got a little notch cut in the end of this wire, and by the way, this is what we call zip cord. It's the same size as the socket wire. It's actually graded SPT1, and there's SPT1 and SPT2. It's a lot easier to use SPT1. It has to do with the insulation around the wire. So SPT1 is a lot easier to work with. So again, we're going to start with the female first. Why female first? Well, because if you plug in the male on accident, you're going to get electrocuted. So we do the female first and then cut it. So I'm going to go ahead. We've got two little grooves in the top of that where we're going to try to just tuck the little spliced wire into there. That keeps it from bridging. It keeps them in separate compartments. Now I can just fold it down and then slide the little back. There's a little helmet on one side, other side's open. We slide the open side over. And sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. You can use the back end of some pliers or wire cutters to squeeze it shut, but this one's working easy for us. So I'm going to put this right where I want to plug it in. I want to keep it elevated about 6 inches or so, so if it rains, we're not going to have any water issues. Not an issue normally, but just in case, I like to keep things elevated. And so I have exactly where I need it. Remember always to make sure that the electric cord is not plugged in before you cut it. All right, so now we're doing the male plug. It works just the same. We have it notched on the end, separated these. You can just pull it apart with pliers or use something to kind of just shimmy between it, and it usually just kind of peels across like Twizzlers. But we shove it in there, fold it down, and slide on the cover. Now I can plug it in, and we're all good to go. Now, every once in a while, the vampire teeth that are in there, there's two vampire teeth. Each one has to connect with a separate line of the wire. That's why there's two wires running in that. See here? Two wires running. One of those lines up for each one. And what can happen is those little vampire plugs, if it's really cold, like closer to freezing, really, I've had issues below 50 degrees, this zip wire can get a little bit hard, and it makes it more difficult for those little vampire plugs to eat through the cord. And so what happens is when you slide the top in, it'll force it to slide over, and it'll crunch these down and bend them, and they won't make connection. So you always want to make sure that when you get to your source, those plugs are working and we have power. So we're good to go.